And we are live. Guys, welcome back to another episode of When Two or More with the McCaws. We're back and it's coming home. Oh my goodness me.
That was amazing. That was a good game.
So for those of you that don't know, England played yesterday in the semi-final del Euros.
Eurocopa.
Copa. Yeah, it was brilliant. So we won on in extra time. Just so exciting. What do you think, Nanny, about the culture of England around game time?
I think everyone changed with alcohol.
It's true.
As soon as we got to the pub, everyone was like, England, not even clapping, I think. As soon as they start drinking, suddenly it goes gradually open.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I did think that yesterday. When you go to the pub to watch a game, at the start, and no one's like looking at each other. Everyone's like really timid and shy. And then as the drinks get drunk, it's like everyone becomes each other's best friend. At the end of the game, you're like hugging somebody. We watch like guys like with talking to girls that weren't in groups and all that stuff. It was
funny.
It was very funny to watch. But it's coming home. We believe. We still believe. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for being at another podcast opportunity. If you're live, welcome here. It's good to have you. You can engage in what we're saying here. That's a great opportunity for you to engage in what we're doing. But if you're not and you're listening in the car, listening in your earphones on podcasts, thank you as well. It's just great to have your support and to be able to share these ideas that we've got for you today.
We're in our mini studio here.
Absolutely.
We have the Guatemala at the back.
We're basically in Antigua, Guatemala.
Yeah.
But we have our hot drinks today. Hot drinks.
I have mine here.
And our hot drinks have been provided for today, actually. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They've been bought for us by somebody, didn't it? No, not you.
Who?
Okay. Well, I don't know if should we do that? I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. Let's think about this later. But what I will say is that today's hot drinks were bought for us on behalf. I don't know whether it's right. Let's talk about this somewhere else. I don't know whether it's right to talk about who bought them for us, but we have a buy a coffee scheme in order that those that would like to support the podcast financially can. So there are ways in which you can support the podcast. If you are on Apple Podcasts, you can rate the podcast out of 5 stars, which is a brilliant way of getting this podcast out to people. But if you would like to support it financially, and you can do that, it's totally up to you, no obligation, anything like that. We have a buy a coffee. So what we'll do is we'll bring the coffee that's been, that makes sense, doesn't it? To each podcast. That is a good idea. But we will think about whether we're going to name the person. I think seems like a good idea. I don't know. We haven't thought this through, as you can tell, but a great way of being able to do that. So we brought our coffee. Today, we're going to be talking about leaving the past behind. And Nanny is going to be leading today. You're going to be leading.
I'm going to be leading the past behind.
Leading the past behind. Here you are.
Yes.
It's quite exciting.
I think it's something that we all struggle in a way in different stages in our life.
Yeah.
We all struggle with the past. We all struggle with this idea of the grass is greener on the other side. And of course, it's in different levels, but I think we all have a little bit of that we're thinking, oh, I wish I could have this or have that and do this and do that. So it's something very important, and we really want to share this with you. We're sure God is going to talk through this.
Yeah.
So we're just here with our time ready for God to talk to each of you.
Yeah. I think it's really important as well that we talk about this because sometimes we're not aware of how much the past can have control over our day to day.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a scary thought, really. Is that laptop on charge? No, we should probably put that on charge. But you introduced this. I'll go and get the charger. You introduced this. Introduce kind of the vision behind what you want to talk about, because we haven't really. I mean, we'll just be honest with people. We haven't really discussed together what we're talking about. But I don't think we need to. I think that I'm more than confident that you've got it in the bag. And lead me through it today. I'll be your student for today, and let's talk about this. And I think we should I'll do what students do, and ask questions, and then maybe we'll put that over to other people and see what other people are saying. What do you reckon? Does that sound good? All right, you introduce that. I'll go and get the Mac charger.
It's in the room.
It's in the room. Good. Great. Right.
Yeah, so welcome to this new episode. We're going to be talking, as we told you, about leaving the past behind. And I think it's very important that we take the time to think about the season that we're living at the moment. It's very easy to get distracted by. I was doing some videos earlier and some reels for Instagram, and I was talking about how easy it is to get confused. For example, if you are someone that is single, you always see like couples, like happy couples. If you are in a relationship, you always see happy single people. When you don't have children, you want to have one, and then when you have them, you said, oh, I don't sleep anymore, so I want to have some free time. And it's so easy to always want what you cannot have, or always want what you left behind, or always want something that is not your present. And I think it's the number one thing that Satan used against us. It's the number one thing that Satan used to destroy our happiness, our balance in life, and everything. So we're going to talk about that, but that is the intro of just a little bit of what we're going to be talking today. So Stuart, you want to start reading this verse in the Bible?
Absolutely. I'm just taking this off you.
I had my drink here on the floor.
Yeah.
And Thea started drinking.
As you I tried to do it without making a fuss, but Nanny started drinking your Thea started drinking your drink. Yeah. So where are we starting with Ecclesiastes here? Yeah. You want me to get this up in English?
Yeah.
I think we've just, there you go, look. I did search this actually earlier. Okay. It says, do not say, why were the old days better than these? For it's not wise to ask such questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which basically, yeah, it's quite a lot of just wisdom that comes from these verses. But actually, the point is that, like, what's the point in dwelling on the past when we're in the present? We're actually in the present because of decisions that we made in the past. And it's just not wise to focus on what was. It's better to focus on what is.
Yes. And it's something, it says there, like, do not put our attention, do not think. It's very unwise to ask, oh, some time that I have in the past was really nice. Like I was saying to you at the beginning, for example, if you have a relationship and you think, like we have some different groups of people that we're going to divide today, and we're going to be talking about each group. But I want to start with single people that was in a relationship, and suddenly the relationship ends, and you're still thinking, well, I'm never going to find someone like this person, or I'm never going to have this happiness that I have with this person, or the memories. I'm never going to do these memories again. And that is very unwise, because I feel like you can see just a small bit, but God can see from a drone at the top. Like God can see the whole picture. So while you're complaining now and saying, I'm never going to find someone better, God is thinking, well, I have something better ahead of you if you stop looking back.
Yeah. The good one is the good analogy for this is running, isn't it? Like it's good because when I'm running, like I go running all the time. If you didn't know that's the case, when I'm not injured like I am now. But it's great because if you're running, right, and there's one road out here, it's a main road, so really you shouldn't be running on it because it's quite dangerous. Cars go quite fast. And so when you look back, right, because I'm checking for a car, I lose control of where I'm going forwards. So there's this kind of, it's just a great analogy, really. So in fact, it's an amazing analogy for the fact that when we look back, when we're so focused on what's going on behind us, we can't actually it actually like controls how we move forward as well. It's so easy to go off track by focusing on what's behind us. That's a really good point.
Yes, and also to leave the, like, for example, if you're in a relationship and you still have the cards of your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend, or you keep holding into things like, well, it's just a necklace, but it doesn't mean anything now because we finished the relationship, but it's just good because I want to keep the memories. And I feel when we are so attached to physical things, like spiritual, this has an effect. I don't know, what do you think? It keeps us attached to that person.
I think also you increase the likelihood of thinking about that person. You increase the likelihood of just like a constant reminder. It's like a stimulus for thoughts about that person. It's a stimulus for memories to hang around, when really we know that sometimes, this obviously isn't for everybody, but we know that the best case is to move forward. If that relationship is dead and gone, it's best just to move forward. And so anything that you've got that might lead you back into a position, anything, like we're quite, what's the right word? Like, we're quite strict with this sort of stuff, aren't we? As in, like, this is something we agreed on before we confirmed that we both did it, but I delete women that I've been involved with, in a relationship on social media. Like, what's the point? What's the point for me to be, so any ex-girlfriends, anything, any past relationships or anything like that, we delete on social media, because it's just best to do that. Like, why, they're doing great. I'm sure they're doing amazing things, and that's fantastic. And they'll meet loads of other people, but there's no friendship there. We're not friends. We can't be friends, because there'll always be that kind of, it went there at one time. So, what do you do with that? But I think it's just about being careful and just being, not extreme, but like being wise, really making wise decisions to make sure that you're getting rid of anything that links you with the past, to enable a clean slate for the future.
Yes, I feel like it's like taking everything from the root. If you are taking the weed off the garden, and you're just cutting it, and it happens in our garden.
That's a sick analogy.
We've been like, oh, should we just fix the garden at the back? And we just cut the little bits. And then a week later, especially now that it's been raining a lot, a week later and it's up again.
So if you're a gardener and you believe in that principle, that's fantastic. But we also take that elsewhere, shouldn't we? If we want something, we want to move forward from something, like a gardener would want to move forward from getting the roots out, doesn't want that root to come back. Take it from the roots, doesn't want that plant to come back, then take it from the roots, pull it out completely. If you apply that principle across to our relationship, realistically, it makes total sense to get rid of the past, not play with fire in any of those situations. Maybe we should do a smaller video about that sort of stuff. But that's an awesome principle. Let's be consistent with our views. Let's be consistent with the way that we deal with things. If we want something for better to die, if we want that's not ex-partners or anything like that. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is, if we want kind of relationship, we want to be able to move fully, we can't be held in the past. It's not fair on us, but it's also not fair on anybody that we get romantically involved with in the future. We've saddled off to like relationships, but it's an important factor. It's good.
Yeah. Something I was thinking also is like living in the season that you're in. Like, it's so easy, especially with social media. If at the moment, for example, we don't have kids yet, but I always said to Stuart, when we have kids, I want to have my full attention on them. Like, I'm going to be 100% mom full time. Like, all my passion, attention, and everything I want to invest on them, because I know it's just a season. But also, it's so easy to get distracted, for example, of the things that you follow on social media. If you just get married and suddenly you're seeing all your single friends having fun, going out all the time, doing all these things, you will start thinking, well, I wish I could still be single because I can't go out anymore. I can go out on a night out. I can have fun. I can keep doing this. I can keep doing that because now I have a family. Or if you have kids now, if you have children, and you are following just I don't know, like things that makes you think about what if, what if I don't
or
have,
what was,
what would it be if I don't have, or I miss my life. I remember like last week I was watching, well, I was going through the reels on Instagram, and I saw a reel that says I miss myself, and it was a reel about one mom saying I miss myself. It's nothing because I don't love my kids and anything. I love my kids and I will never change them for anything. But I miss myself. I miss going out. I miss doing my nails. I miss having this and that. And so it's a video about this person thinking about when she was on a skateboarding, when she was surfing, when she was doing all these fun and extreme things when she was single. And I don't think it's something healthy to do. Not even think about that for a little bit, because it opens the door for you to stay in your past.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. Yeah.
Or if we are married,
Yeah, if we look at this, like, we're sharing a lot of our opinions, but I think it's good to back it up a little bit biblically as well from a Christian perspective. And the situation I'm reminded of is when Lot is they're leaving Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, for those that don't know, like, Sodom and Gomorrah was a group of cities. I think it was a group of cities that were involved in a lot of sin. And it was basically a lot of sin that God wanted to just destroy, because it had gone so far from what he had planned it to be that it was just a mess, just an absolute mess. And he found Lot, who was the closest thing to being righteous, really, to being a man of God. And he said, you guys need to get out of this place. Get out of this place and don't look back. And he made it clear to all of them, do not look back. And so what that city is, this kind of vision of what was, and for us, it's kind of the things that are the sin in our life, that's kind of a mess, that's kind of damaging us, that once was. And that's a beautiful thing about the gospel is, Lord, I've been broken, or I'm not worthy. What I once was, I'm not now. Like, it's good to remember that, that situation when it comes to the gospel. But in this kind of example, what we see is that, like, that we shouldn't look back at certain things. There's certain things that we shouldn't look back at. And actually, Lot's wife in the end turns back, and she turns into a pillar of salt as a result. But it was this kind of really powerful kind of analogy of the damage that looking back, it's on the open road and I look back, I can't control how I move forward. In fact, that stopped Lot's wife from moving forward, because there was still a part of her that was delving in that past. Now, if you're listening, what is it that leads you to delving into the past? Is it a necklace of somebody you used to be with that you've still got that allows you to still think about that person? Is it a job? Is it, are there things about a certain job or relationship with somebody that in principle are really damaging you from moving forwards?
Yes. It's very important to think about what are the things that maybe you don't want to accept, but you are thinking about it. I want to give an example about this, because I think it's about also being vulnerable and talk about our experience. And I used to be someone that I have never been easy with change. Never. Like, I've always found change very hard. And when I was at school, I remember I always used to say, well, when I was like in university, I wish I could be in school now. It was very easy. Life was so easy. I didn't have responsibilities. I didn't have to be working at the same time that studying. Always looking back in my life. And then when I moved here, I remember that I was thinking, oh, this is really nice. We got married and everything. And it was nothing to do with Stuart, because he was amazing, honestly. He is a really, really good husband. He's really nice. Yeah, sometimes, ¿verdad? When he doesn't get me angry.
Gets me mad.
No, but he is really good. He's really good. He's really selfless, and he gives everything for our little family with Thea. But I was thinking all the time about my family back in Guatemala, and I was thinking, well, I wish I could be with them. And
that's a good example.
Yes, just looking back at my life, or looking back at my friends. Oh, it was a weekend here. And I remember one weekend where Stuart, I don't know what, you had to work or something like that. He has to go on the weekend away with jobs, with his work and everything. So I was on my own here. And I was crying and I was so sad. And I remember I was saying, like, I really miss my friends. I really miss my family. And for a moment, it's that's what I'm saying to you. It's something that we have to put a lot of attention, because Satan will always tell you the grass is greener outside. And it will make me think, well, what if I'm married and it wasn't my time to get married because I wasn't ready, because I miss my family?
Yeah.
And it's not because I wasn't ready. It's not because of that. It's because Satan was trying to put this idea on my mind that the past was better than what was ahead of me. And I remember talking with my sister, Jessica, and I love her because she's very direct when she gives me advice.
Yeah.
And she said to me, Nani, stop that. I'm going to tell you something. In 10 years, you will want to have the time that you have now with Stuart. You're both going to have kids. It's not going to be the same. You're never going to be like in your first year of marriage again. So enjoy now, because this will last just for a few years. It won't last forever. And it made me realize how important it is to live in the present and to not dwell on the things from the past. But as the Bible says on this verse that Stuart's going to read.
This one.
Yes.
Okay.
But as the Bible says, like, do not dwell on the things from the past, but knowing that God has something ahead of you. Let's read the Bible and we talk about it.
No, you were good talking there. I haven't got it up yet in English, so.
It's good. We did a little bit of a script in Spanish. But
yeah, we always do a little bit of guidance, but I think it's like good to not do too much guidance, because it leaves you like, oh no, we've gone off script. What are we going to do?
And we also believe that it's God really who guides the conversations and everything to where He wants it to be.
Absolutely. Both these verses, yeah?
Yeah.
It says, this is the NIV, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland.
Yes. So it says there, forget the former things and do not dwell in the past. And it's very important that, as I was telling you, to forget what was in the past. Even if it's a good memory, it's okay. But if you keep reliving and living the good memory in your mind, you're going to keep stuck in there without knowing that God has something more ahead of you. And it wasn't until I decided to start living my life in England that I started enjoying and seeing that there was a lot of things, and there was a purpose of me being here. But I spent, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years.
It took time, didn't it?
Yeah, it took a long time for me to realize this. And that's why we wanted to talk about this with you, because we really wouldn't like you to spend 3 years, 2 years knowing the reality of this. And
Raz has put Hebrews 12:1. So I've just searched it up. Great shout, by the way, Raz. Fantastic.
Thank you.
It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance for the race marked out for us. This is a perfect verse for us at the moment, Raz, because I think what's key is what stood out to me when I read that was that the sin that so easily entangles us. We think that we've got it all sorted. We think I'm going to keep going back to this necklace of an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, right? I don't know why. Maybe that means someone to somebody. Maybe it doesn't. But I'm going to go back to it anyway. You might feel that that necklace. Oh, it's just a necklace. It might just fit just this. But the reason it has it in Hebrews like this and various other, and it makes a big thing out of little things like this, right? Like necklaces and like the little things to remember, is because sin so easily entangles us, like more than we would ever presume. We're not too big, right? So we need to stay wise to the things that potentially throw it out. You're talking about chopping off your arm if it causes you to sin, gouging your eye out if it causes you to sin. Like, all these verses are talking about how serious we should take the idea of sin, but also things of the past that cause us to not live out a day-to-day, like running of the race, like Paul refers it to, without keeping everything that we're doing, or our eyes fixed on God as we run this race. And so it's a great analogy to think, okay, I'm running forwards. I don't want to look back at the past because looking back affects my forwards. But that's, stop me now because I am on fire. Baby, this is so good.
And the second part of this verse, I love what it says. Can you put it to me in English?
Oh, sorry. Do you mean this bit here?
Yes,
19.
that bit.
Okay.
Isaiah
What's this bit
43:19.
What's this bit?
It says,
See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland.
I love that. I love that because during this time that I'm telling you, when I moved to England, I was feeling very lonely and very sad and very like, what's the point? What am I doing here? I should just stay in Guatemala, And it was nothing to do with Stuart, as I tell you, because he is an amazing husband and he is really good. I was just so stuck in my past, and I was so stuck believing the lies that Satan was trying to put on my mind, but telling me your life was before, was better. But I feel until you make room for something new, you cannot have it. It's like when you're cleaning your bedroom and you have loads of clothes. A Stuart is like this. He has loads of clothes, and I love going shopping, as you know in the last podcast. And I said to Stuart, look, I think this would look good on you and this. And Stuart said, no, I'm okay. I have enough clothes. We come back and we see and Stuart have a lot of clothes. We're probably, I don't know how many percent, but most of them, he never used them.
Yes,
he never used them. So.
Because I use the same clothes again and again and again, don't I?
Yeah.
I use the same ones.
Yes.
Because that's what I like.
Yes.
But I do have a lot.
Yeah. You have loads. Just let me quickly tell you this. One time I went to Stuart's. I think we were not married yet.
Talk about this before you tell everybody. No, I shouldn't. Go on, do it.
I think we were not married yet, but we went to Stuart's house, and his dad came to me and said, Nanny, come on, I want you to see here. Under the stairs, there was a, what do you call that bit under the stairs?
Just a cupboard.
Just a cupboard, yeah. And he said to me, all of those shoes that you see there, they're Stuart's trainers and shoes and different things. We count them honestly. He had like 104 pairs of shoes. 104 and 4 pairs of shoes.
Yeah, but I've since thrown a lot out. That was just at the time.
Yeah.
Get rid of the waste. That's we'll do a recycling podcast at some point, sometime soon. Mark, sorry.
Just let me finish this bit. Yeah. So.
Excited, man.
Sorry, no, but I'm just telling you this because unless we make space for something new, we're always gonna keep with the same things over and over and over again. Like for example, with Stuart.
That's good.
If you keep your old clothes, you're never gonna buy new clothes because your closet is full. And you will think, no, I'm okay. I still have a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you a question today. What are those things that you have been keeping so tight to you that are not leaving space for something new, for what the new things that God wants to do in your life? That says on this verse. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was really sad, when I was really, really down and lonely. I was thinking just about that. I was holding my past so tight that I wasn't open for the new friendships that we have now here, for the new opportunities. I even started a small business. I make a lot of friends. I started, a lot of projects around me. But it's until you decide to cut your past, leave it behind, forget about what happened in the past, and saying, okay, God, I'm ready now. What do you have to do?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do now?
It's really good. That's a really good point.
So it's like clean your closet of the old clothes.
Clean your closet of 104 pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
That is horrific.
Sorry, you can go ahead now.
Thank you. Welcome. Pase adelante. Mark's written in here, which is amazing because I've read it through. In a similar way, he says, the Song of Solomon 2:15 says, catch the little foxes that spoil the vineyard. It is the little things that we might ignore which get past our defense, which cause trouble.
Wow.
That's good, mate. That's flipping good. And Mark is like, you're so incredibly wise. Like, brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And if anybody else is listening and wants to add something in, feel free to do so, because this is a joint it's like a little group we got going on here. This is brilliant.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
I love that.
We prepare for the big things, and we think it's going to come as a big thing, don't we? Sometimes these kind of attacks that we've had, but yeah, man, like that is it. The little foxes that spoil the vineyard.
And it makes me think about Instagram a lot, about social media.
Yeah.
About the small things that you feed your mind every single day.
Yeah.
As it says here on this verse of Mark, share with us, is like these little foxes, these little things that we don't even think that will have an impact in our life.
I think where I see it with social media is this idea of like, we go through life day to day, and then we pick up our phones, and suddenly it's like looking back, because there's things that make us think, oh, what about a past life? Like, it's dangerous to have people like, if you've got some, clubbing, if you love clubbing, right, and you moved away from clubbing, it's not a good idea to look at things that are going to remind you of a life that once was. And so there's somebody that you'll be able to connect with in some way that's putting stuff on social media that will remind you of a life. And that's you've got to be wise, to what we're looking at online, because these things can bring us back, and that's serious, isn't it?
Yes.
Thea wants to play ball, but it's not time to play ball. It's time to carry on talking. Sorry, let me get your notes up.
I love that though.
It's awesome, isn't it? Okay. Leader.
Yeah. And yeah, so something like to be putting everything together to end this episode. Well, to end before we have some questions and add some little bits, but the main idea, I mean, it's having gratitude. Gratitude. Sorry, it's because I get confused sometimes.
That's good. The languages are so
I was
going
to say having grateful.
Having grapefruit. All right.
Yeah, so having gratitude, it's something very important that will make us realize how blessed we are.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know why, but I feel that I have the need to talk about this. I'm not a mom yet. I don't have children yet. But I feel the need of this because that video really impacted me, really. The one that I watched last week.
Okay.
Because it says, I miss myself now that I have children.
Okay.
And it's a bit sad because it's like, in a way, it's being ungrateful and not having gratitude.
You could see it like that, couldn't you?
And I feel like it's a very...
They don't mean it like
no,
that.
they don't mean it like that.
It could be yeah.
Yes.
Imagine I've got all these things and I wish I was who I was before.
Yes, yes. And also like there's a this season we're never gonna live it again. When we moved here, I was like, oh, I miss everything. And then my sister was telling me, well, you're not gonna live this season again, so take the best of this. So I remember starting like a list of things that I was grateful for.
Grapefruit for.
And I started making this list of even the smallest things, like I'm so grateful that today I wake up and I can breathe because normally my nose is blocked. So if one day I haven't had my nose blocked, I was like, I'm so grateful for this.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that we can go for a run because we're not like when we grow up and we're older, 90s or 90s plus, and we won't be able to walk the same way.
Exactly.
I'm grateful that now we're young and we can share this time. So when you have this gratitude in your heart and you start saying thank you to God, like coming to God with an act of gratitude. God sees that, and it's something that will help us stay focused on the present. So for me, gratitude is something that makes you stay focused on the present.
It might be worth, we've got a few viewers, writing down or writing in the notes there in the comments what it is that helps you to be in the now rather than looking back or looking too far forwards. Let's focus on looking back, but what is it that helps you think about, the now, and lots of being grateful. Being grateful is one really good one that helps us look at look at us now, enjoying life as it is and what we've brought into today. That's one. What other like ideas do you think helps you? I'm going to give you one as well. For me, a big one is accountability to the decisions that I've made previously. So for example, I used to love going out with my friends, right? And I used to love the certain aspects of it. And right, the further you come away from it, the more the more you forget about the bad things, and the more you focus on, as they say, the grass is greener, the more you see all the good things. You think it's all good things. But I remember, what I do is I try and remember the decisions I made that made me come away from it. So, for example, the hangover. I used to drink a lot, and the hangover was horrific, right? And the hangover is a real issue, right? And it would be worse now than it was then, but it was terrible, right? So that's one. I'm accountable to those. And I remember that actually, although it appears to me now, this life that, in those times where I'm like, I could live that life, and Satan plays with those feelings and emotions, I have to take myself back to the reasons why I don't live that life anymore. And be accountable to those decisions. When there's things I want to do that go against how I'm living now, it's always like, no. Why did I come away from living like that in the first place? And I'm quite big on accountability when it comes to other people. And I want to be able to start from a position of bringing the same energy for myself. So how am I accountable to the decisions I've made? I'm married now. Like, I've got responsibilities. I've got a dog. And so that means that there's things I can't do as a result. Now, I don't want to change that. I don't want to affect that. And so I need to be accountable to the decisions I've made. So that helps me, but definitely being grateful. What else do we think? Do you want to read out what Diego's put?
Yes. Diego put, I know I have to be here, and now unknown. You read it mejor.
That's right. And now living my present, but it hurts so much that I can even feel how that could turn my heart upside down. Some friends say, don't talk about me that much. Don't talk about that too much. How to live today in so much pain, and avoiding that pain turns me into someone that I'm not. Yeah, that's tough. There's a lot to delve into there, Diego, to be honest. But I think, just recognizing, coming to a place where you are recognizing things that are holding you back is really important, and working through that. And we can do more videos or search on that. If we've got anybody else that wants to share ideas, do that. But I think it's great. So obviously, Diego, by the sounds of it, you're going through something. That means because of the conversation you're not having with other people, it means that you don't get it out, and so you're pushing down pain and pretending to be somebody else. So that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. We need to be around people that better us and that you can have these conversations with. So Diego, I'd advise, wherever you're at, which I know is in Guatemala, but in your life, who are the people you can go into and speak to about this? Who can you have that accountability for? That's great. But thank you so much for sharing that, mate, because that's a big one for sure.
And you are so brave, Diego. And I just wanted to tell you something, that it's right now, like the Bible, when Jesus replies to the disciples, he said, right now you do not understand what I'm doing, but someday you will. And sometimes we go through difficult times, we go through struggles, we go to pain, we go to very, very hard situations that we don't understand. And right now we might not understand, but I promise you that you will see the fruit of that. God transforms us and change our hearts the most in the difficult times. And one advice that I would like to give you, Diego, if you're going through this really painful time, is something that helps me to be grateful. I remember someone asked me a question when I was going through a lot of difficult situations in my life when I was 24. And someone said to me, well, you just have to be grateful and that's it. And I was like, I can't even think of one thing to be grateful for. I can't think
Because
of one thing.
you were so far in that
Because
place,
I was so, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said to me, think about something that you have now that you might not have in 20, 30, or 50 years. And I was thinking, whoa, that, like that shocks me, because I was thinking, I'm complaining about not having a boyfriend. I'm complaining about not having someone to love me. I'm complaining about how difficult university is, how difficult working is. I don't know if 10, 20, 50 years I'm going to have a job. I'm going to have my family alive. I don't know if I'm going to have my mom, And I think sometimes we focus so much on what we don't have that we
don't enjoy what we have.
Yes, we don't enjoy what we have. So if you're going through this difficult time, Diego, I just wanted you to think about what are the things that you have now that you might not have in 10, 50, 15 or 50 years.
Yeah. And if it helps, write it down. Write down what you do have that other people might look at you and go, yeah, I want what that guy's got. I want this. Because you've got a lot going for you that a lot of people would look at and say, I want this. You know? And that's why we've got to, having a firm foundation in the Christian faith, in Jesus, in knowing that actually, like, God's got me here for a reason. We should be joyful and present in that. Like, that's just the foundation of the Christian faith, isn't it? To be joyful in Him and in peace in Him, that regardless of our circumstances, that we can be just joy filled, because this is all temporary. Because in the future, we have eternity with the King.
Yes, and sorry, I'm just gonna quickly add something to this. Because I remember I was crying that day, and I was telling my mom how bad I was feeling because of the situation that I was going through at the moment. And she said to me, like, enjoy it. Enjoy now. In 10 years, you will say, I wish I could have more time with my family.
Yeah.
At the moment, I thought, I'm not going to say that because I'm always going to be in Guatemala. Life changed, and you never know where it's going to take you. I never imagined that I was going to be in England. And just a few years before, literally 1 year before I met Stuart, I was crying and all of these things. God already has everything planned. And life changed from a moment to other. So right now I'm thinking, well, when I came to England, I was thinking, I wish I could spend more time with my family. And when I was with my family, I wasn't enjoying that. So that's why it's so important to think about the things that you have now and enjoy those things, because you're not going to have in the future. And in the future, you will look back and you will say, I wish I could spend more time with my mom. I wish I could have my mom. And you're going to have a relationship. You're going to have a job and everything. Life happens and you're going to have everything that you're worrying about now. But you might not have the most important thing, that is family. So absolutely. Enjoy it now.
It's just a great time just to interject there and say that we're not coming at a place from having this all together. Like, we're as much preaching to ourselves right now and sharing through our own experience, and Nanny's encouraging me right now to be better. And so we don't want to come across as people that have got it all together and now it's our time to share with other people. We have people that we have these conversations with and get to be able to be spoken into, like they speak into our lives, and it's just really, really encouraging and a huge blessing for us to be able to receive that. But we get to do that together, and that's the blessing of the church, isn't it? It's being around people that hold us accountable, that fill us, that speak into our lives, and I think that's really important. So let's surround ourselves with people that are going to do the same. You've got a comment there from Raz.
You read it.
It says, so how did you look forward and stop missing your family as much now? What works for you?
I think
Great question, by the way.
Yes, I think what works for me was the way my sister confronted me. Because she was like, you're still looking back, you're still thinking about your family. But remember when you were in Guatemala, you were saying to me how good school was, and you were not enjoying the time that you have with my mom. Because that's true. When I was in Guatemala, in a way, I regret a little bit, because I was never in my house. I was out all the time, every single day of the week. I had a plan. I never had a day where I just stay at home and watch a movie with my mom or something like that. And my sister said to me, Remember that time you were thinking so much about university, about school, about how amazing it was and how easy it was that you were not enjoying your family. Now you're in the future and you're saying that you're missing your family. So my sister said to me, in 10 years, imagine if Stuart has to go for a job in a different city, or if he's just coming for the weekends, you will say, well, I remember those times when we were both together in the house, when we didn't have many responsibilities, kids or anything, and we were just enjoying each other. And my sister said, don't let the past steal your present or your future. So that conversation with my sister really shakes me, really changed my mind and made me think, well, I need to start enjoying now before it's too late.
Yeah. And you did really seek after your purpose here as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like you really, and now, like, opportunities like this where we sit down and talk about it makes me realize how much things have changed. But you are now really dedicated to the things you're doing. And you've found purpose into that. You've really stepped into that and said, okay, like, I can't just dwell on this. I need to find out what it is that God's called me here to do. And there's a certain amount of that that's in ministry and what we've got here, where we get to explore that with other people, which is amazing. But there's also, you know, your small business, in which we've talked a lot about today, which is fantastic. Like, you've just really pursued and think, you know, encouragement to other people is that, like, if you are where you're at, regardless of the circumstances around you, that we're pushing into serving God in the way, in any way that we can, that regardless, like, talk to people on a daily basis. And one lady today was telling me, well, it was a guy who was telling me he lives at the end of the bottom of the hill on this road of, like, this estate. Everybody else is, and he's disabled, so he can't get out. And so what we spoke about is, like, the conversations he gets to have just out with his neighbor, you know, the guy across the way from him. Like, little things like that is finding joy and finding purpose in the small things that we can do. Because, you know, being a blessing with the small, you know, gives us great opportunity, but just being in peace with that. And that's what you've really done, is just found joy and peace in what you can do and grow out from there. And we have a lot to be thankful for, like, regardless of your circumstances. We have so much to be thankful for, to be grateful for as Christians. And I think, like, from that basis of knowing that every day we wake up is a blessing, you know, and how to go from that kind of base is a blessing in itself, regardless of the circumstances. Out from that, like, how do we further to advance the kingdom with what we do, and to know him more as individuals is a fantastic place to be at. That might be, like, I totally understand. I totally can see how someone would find that difficult within circumstances that we have in our lives. But let's remember what's really important in our lives and seek after it wholeheartedly. Did we go in somewhere else with this?
Yeah, just the final verse.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to spell this out. What number was it? Did you say? I need to spell Philippians, not the Philippines.
It's a really hard thing to.
It's a hard Philippians, not Philippines.
3.
Philippines.
13.
The Philippines. That's what I don't want to spell. 3.
The Philippines.
Yeah. Give me all these photos on Google. 3:13. Right, here we are. Okay. Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straightening towards what is ahead.
I love this, because if you haven't read the story about Paul in the Bible, read it. It's really, really good. I think it's one of my favorites in the Bible, because he is so brave. He knows exactly where he is going. You know, he has his eyes fixed on Jesus, and he is just so focused on getting his purpose, you know, done.
Yeah, there's a story actually about a cyclist who knew that he was entering a competition, like a sprint competition, as fast as he could go. against some other. He was the last person to go in this competition. Everyone had their run, and he was given the time. And I think he was given. I'm going to hodgepodge this story up a lot, but you're going to get my principle, hopefully, right? He was given the option of having somebody go at the same time as the person that's gone. So the advantage of knowing what he needs to beat is what he was saying. And basically he was like, no, I don't want to be able to see what it is I'm going to beat. I'm just going to go for it. And if I win, regardless, I'm just going to go and give it my best shot. And he won the race by 8 seconds, right? And it's just this principle of like, he forgot about the other people. He didn't run in comparison with anybody else. He ran his race. And what this verse encapsulates is like, I'm not the perfect runner. I'm not the perfect cyclist, right? But I'm going to give it the best, the very best I can give it without focusing on where other people are at. And I'm going to push. There's nothing here that says I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to strain. The word in the NIV that this is giving me under pressure is straining. I'm pushing hard, like that kind of photo finish at the Olympics. I'm pushing forwards. We need to be pushing into it without focusing on the behind that's damaging us. That means that every second that we're focused on what's behind us limits how we move forward.
Yes, and this applies to every stage in our life. If you're single, stop looking to the future, or stop looking to the old relationship. If you just got married, stop looking to your single life. If you just got kids, if you have children, your second, your third, stop looking to the times where you sleep all through the night, or all the things that they said, I don't have time for me anymore. No, just enjoy those days, these days, because they're not going to come back. Especially I think if you are a mom and you're listening to this podcast, your kids are not going to be babies forever. 10 years and they're going to grow, 20 years they're going to go to uni and they're out of the house. So this won't last forever. Your family won't last forever. What you have now won't last forever. So make the best of it.
Absolutely. Are there any more questions? So if there's questions that we want to discuss, you want to stick them up now. But yeah, I think we've really kind of opened up and talked about some really interesting things that otherwise we just don't get to talk about. Society doesn't allow us, as Diego's pointed out. Who do we talk to these things? Who do we talk about these things with? Like how do we make a way? And so there are people that we have in our lives that we can turn to, and usually, and if you're not, I would say get involved in a local church to you. There are people that this is what the church is all about. The church is not about putting on your Gucci trainers and going and pretending that everything's all right. If it is, get out, go to a church full of people, broken people, and be broken with people. That's what this is about, getting involved with people that are made whole in Christ. That's really, really important, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, I was just gonna say, if you it's not something to do with this, but we're gonna start a group on Saturdays.
Oh wait.
Yeah. No, we'll lose it on
Okay.
Because you're gonna be you're gonna be together.
Okay, we can talk about this a bit. Yeah. Well, we might start a group.
Yes.
It's the first I've heard about it, so so that's great. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. What I'd love to be able to do, and I haven't done this before, but on the podcast, is pray about this, because this is something that we should all be seeking after. It's the ability to look forward, to strive into forwards rather than focusing. And I really want to make clear that actually what we're not saying is that forget every moment in the past. There's a place for remembering, and there's a place for forgetting, basically forgetting what's been done in the past. Maybe we should do another one of these about what's good to remember, but there's value in remembering. Actually, there's biblical instruction for us to remember certain things, but not like what Christ has done for us and our testimony. That's just an example. But there's also a place to forget about where we were once at in order to help us move forward. So yeah, let me just pray. Yeah, well, dear Lord, I just want to thank you for this day, Lord. I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to share online, this world that we live in that allows us to share online with each other. Lord, I just want to ask that you would just use this podcast and this video to be able to speak words of life into the people that listen to it. We pray that it would just go further than we know, Lord, that if actually like we just care so much about reaching people's hearts, and it's not about numbers, but it's about the hearts, Lord. We just pray that you would take it. Lord, I pray for every single person that listens to this. Lord, we just ask that you would just speak words of life into them at this time, Lord, that they would be able to take what's happened in the past and be able to move forward focused on you. And I pray against anybody struggling with that, Lord, that would be able just to focus on you, Lord, that would keep their eyes focused on what's in front, not turning around occasionally at what they once were, Lord, but to keep wholeheartedly focused on you, running the race of life, Lord, that we would be straining after serving a life that is worthy of the calling of the gospel, Lord. We give you praise and glory for everything that you've done in our lives to bring us to the point where we are just searching after those people that are listening this far, that are watching this far, Lord. There is a heart in them to want to serve you better, and we just pray that you would just bless them for that, Lord, that you would just speak to them through this and encourage them where they're at, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. It was just fantastic to be able to join with you today. And as I say, if there's anyone that wants to reach out, I'm sure Nanny would agree that if it's in Spanish, reach out to Nanny, speak to Nanny, in Spanish, if there's anything you need support through, and we'll talk it over and try and give our best support. But we really just want to share this community and join in this community and bring together. If this has blessed you and you feel like it's going to bless other people, we'd love it if you would just share this out to other people. That'd be great. But obviously there's no obligation to do so. We love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to speak to you again. Is there anything you want to add before we close?
No, you're ready. Closing
time is finished.
No, that's all.
Brilliant.
We'll see you. And yeah, you can send us a message anytime, and our social media are open for you.
Open for you. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Take care and have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Baby.
Waiting for the confirmation of ending. I'm waiting for it. Come on, hit me with it.
Still on.
We still don't know if we're still on. We might be still on.
If we are, follow this baby on Instagram. Thea.
This is all extra time. You didn't pay for this slot.
No, baby, sweet.